Hello, welcome to Painting with Jasmine Rempel Art. I'm Jasmine, and today I'm wanting to do a scene similar to this. So if you would like to come along for the journey, you are most welcome. This is my sketchbook, so I'm just going to take it out of the way. And I've got ready here Strathmore art card. It happens to be a 5x7, and I've got it adhered to a little board. I'm wanting to create the scene for a wedding in my family for someone, and so let's move along and do that. As I go along, I'll tell you the supplies that I use for this. I'm going to start with a rather large round brush. This is a number 10, and I'm just going to wet the entire background of this art card. And because I'm going to do the wet on wet for the first layer. And this number 10 is nice and big for that. It will get the water on nice and quickly. Now the amount of water I've put on here is enough that this project isn't going to dry out really fast while I'm painting, but not so much that it's creating big pools. If I tilt this, you can see the shine there, and that shows that it's nice and wet. So I'll stop there and begin to go on to the next phase. Just dabbing that with a bit of paper towel. Okay, using this same brush, I'm going into my Winsor Newton watercolor paint, and I'm reaching for, this is a Windsor Violet, a very dark color, and I want it to be quite watered down for the background. So I'm adding lots of water in here. And now what I'm going to do is just do some tapping to create some tall purple almost. My idea was to have hydrangeas, so tall purple stalks of flowers is what I'm aiming for here. And then we'll have another one in the center. And I'll bring these quite close to the bottom actually. Fill in and let the water do its thing to fill in some spaces. Good. And then I want to reach into a Cobalt Blue. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this color. Nice and wet. And I will put some in. I think I might take a bit of that purple actually. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. Let me tilt this one slightly. And over here. Kind of blended the two a bit. I can feel my edges drying. And another. Okay, I'm just dabbing in that color there. Super. I think I might have time to throw in another stalk here. There. Great. Now I want to get some Sap Green. And again, I'm just wanting to tap in some of this here and there. That was quite dark. That's okay. Spread it along a little bit. Add a bit more water. Just put some in. especially in the base. Okay. Well, that's just the background, so we'll let it be and we'll see what happens. I'm reaching now for, this is actually a watercolor pencil crayon, and it's a purple. I'm just going to shave a bit of it into here, here. And I'll take some blue and do the same. Give some nice little texture marks. Nice. And I'm going to need to let this dry, and then I'll come back to it. Now, something that I did while I was off camera was I have a rolled up piece of paper towel into a point, and when this was still wet, I took my paper towel and I dabbed it, and what ended up happening is I got these nice little white flowers. I'll zoom in for you to see them. And again, that was just when this was still wet. I put this down and it ultimately lifted off the paint, and this is the side I used, and what I got was some white flowers. Okay, let's go back. All right, now this is dry and I'm ready for the next step. I'm just reaching now for a number 4 brush. I think I'll work with this one, number 4 round, and I want to begin to put in some of the hollyhocks in a darker value. So I'll reach again for this purple and put it right in here, and that's more, there's more pigment now than water, so it'll go on to the paper in a darker value. I'm also doing this in wet and wet, wet on dry. My paper is now dry, and all I'm doing is I'm basically making little marks as I go down with my brush, leaving a few holes behind. Holes meaning gaps to see the paper behind, almost doing little C's. Now I've come to one of my white flowers, and I want that to be in the foreground, so I'll just go right around that. To the bottom, and there we go. I'm cleaning my brush and it's damp, and I'm just going to use a clean damp brush on this edge, and what happens is it will pull some of that paint out so that I don't have too many super hard edges. Again, my brush is clean and damp. Just put it along here. Good. I will let that dry and I'll do another one. There's another flower I want to work around, so maybe I'm actually going to go between these 2 flowers. There we go. If you decide to do this, you just kind of let your brush play a little here. Practice with it and you'll get the hang of it, and you'll figure out how you like yours to be. Cleaning that brush, nice and damp. Just run it along here. Maybe here. That one's quite a bit darker. It comes forward, but that's fine. All right, let's get some of that cobalt pigment. And let's do a couple of nice blue ones. We'll take a bit of the purple in there as well. Just deciding where I want it. Right here maybe. Drawing that on, rather haphazard. Bring this one a little lower. Pretty. Actually, I think I want this one to go even higher. There. Use up my space. I happen to have tall, gorgeous hollyhocks, or had them growing in my garden. They're pretty much finished now. I like that. Damp brush, encouraging some of these edges just to bleed out a little, so they're not all hard edges. Okay. Have another blue one. I think this one will maybe lean a bit. There. Maybe a more purple blue one. Have it leaning as well. Nice. That's looking pretty good. I don't know that I need too many more, but what I definitely want to do is darken some of this up. Just come in with a few dark spots here and there. And I've got my damp brush right now. It's clean, there's no pigment on it. I'm just going around some of these shapes to let them expand and bleed out, spread out. That's nice. Just going around a few of these white marks. So it kind of looks like the center of some of those flowers. These almost look more like hollyhocks in some ways to me than delphiniums, but I like them just as they are. A couple of little taps of little ones there. All right, and now I want a darker blue, so I'm actually reaching into the French Ultramarine, and I'll add that to this mixture. And go into here, and again just go around a few of these white shapes, so almost little C's, just little curves, emphasizing kind of more of a center of a flower look, as I mentioned before. And clean my brush, it's just damp, and pull out some of these edges. Nice. That adds a nice little detail. Kind of want some of this blue in here. Yeah, I like that. I wish I'd left more white in this one. There, I'll pull out what I have that's still white. There we go. That's helping. Yeah. Really pretty. I'm just thinking about what I want next. I think I'll go for a few stems now. So, and leaves, I think I can keep this brush. So again, going into Sap Green. There we go. I'll take a bit of the blue, put it in there for a darker. All right, let's just pull down right here and add some green going up. Same thing here. I put more of the Sap Green so that I have a variety of colors. It's not all the same green everywhere. And I'm going into Quinacridone Gold and warm that green up. Lovely. Carry some of it up top. Okay. Make some. Now, if these were actual delphiniums, the flowers, the leaves are quite different than what I'm doing, but I'm going to do this regardless. My painting, can do what I like. And this little flower here needs a stem. So I'm going into some more of this blue. This is the Ultra Blue. Darken that up. I'm just going to pull down a stem. And this one too. Good. They're kind of flowers that are bendy, I suppose. And for them, I think I'll just do little fan leaves coming down. Good. They need some centers to help them pop a bit, so I'm going to go into, this is a Windsor Yellow. There's already some purple in the background, so let's put this right on top of the purple. This has some blue. There we go. You can see those flowers a lot better now. Let's see, what do I need? I need more grasses and leaves. So I'm reaching now for my number 6 round so I can make some bigger leaves. Oh, some nice dark. I'm just adding some of my purple blue to this green. And I'm just randomly going to create some leaves, just kind of let the brush fly a bit. Not try to restrain it too much. And you know, I'm going into this Viridian, putting it right in there. There. It's fun. So I'm coming up higher. Good. I love this. Now, I think that I want to do some little bees. I'll zoom in for you while I make the little bees. To do that, I need a very, very fine tip. So I've got my number 0 round, and I'm going into my Windsor Yellow. I want to make sure it's diluted a bit with a bit of the purple, or not diluted, just a little duller. I don't want it bright, bright yellow. And let's zoom in. All right, let's make a bee. Let's make one right here. All I'm doing is honestly a little oval. That's a little yellow oval right there. And let's do one here. Well, another little yellow oval. Where there are flowers, there will be honeybees, bumblebees, all kinds of bees. So I've got a couple of spots, and I'm going to have one right here going in to enjoy some pollen. There, I've got 3 bees. Okay, so now see if I can zoom in even closer for you. Yeah, I can. Super. Okay, so this little guy, now I'm going into my Ivory Black with some Payne's Gray. You can't see me mixing those colors, but I am. And I've got this amazingly fine tip that I can just draw on a little head. Few little stripes. So cute. And then I'm going to use the same brush and take a little bit of blue. It's going to be a very, very, very faded blue. Lots of water, hardly any paint for its wings. There we go. Almost can't see them, but that's fine. There they are. Okay, there's a little bee. In fact, I honestly really want its antennae. So these brushes are, they're called Silver Black Velvet series. They have lovely fine tips, so I can do a lot of drawing with them. Okay, let's zoom out. And let's finish off these little bees. Then I think I'll splatter a bit and call it good. And this bee's head can be here. A few little stripies. Just an impression of a bee. I actually am gonna erase a bit of what I just did. Erase watercolor, you might say. Yes. I can get my brush damp and lift off the color I just put on. I put on some antennae on him and it ended up more like a blob. I don't want a blob on him. Okay, so little wings. There we go. That's done. Kind of done. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, last bee. Let's zoom in for you for this guy. Where is he? There he is. All right, let's go into that dark Payne's gray mixture. Maybe he'll be going downwards. There's his little head. Little bee head. I'm holding it with my hand, so sorry if this is moving. Stripes. And a bit of the blue. There's some wings. Impression of wings. Okay, sorry, I'm probably making you dizzy here. There. Zoom all the way out. Okay. Super cute. Play with my bees for a minute. I'm going to try to put on a couple of antennae. The garden is one of my favorite places to be. Ha ha ha. There's a pun. Honestly, the garden is a solace for me. So, I find myself loving to draw flowers. I have my number 4. I've put some purple, wet purple paint. Let's tap a bit of it on there. Not too much, just a bit. And some of that blue. There's hardly any left to grab from, but there's some. Tap. Nice. Okay, I think this painting, you know what, actually I'd like to tap a bit of that yellow. And I just kind of like this pollen. There. I did it around my daisy type flowers. Now it's time to sign, so I'll get my rigger brush and let's see. Let's do it in Payne's gray black mixture. And I usually just put my initials, just JR. There we go. Done! Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. It's so summery. I'm gonna peel this off and have a look. I think I'm going to send this one to my cousin who's getting married. I think she would love this. It's a wedding card. Oh, there we are. How beautiful is that? Full of summer color. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel or just put a message on the video, put a little like, let me know you were here. Happy painting. Bye for now.